The Gospel for Sunday, November 27th, is from the 13th chapter of Luke, beginning at the 10th verse. This is the story of a woman who could not stand up straight and is healed by Jesus on the Sabbath. The story is found only in St. Luke's Gospel. The evangelist Luke went out of his way to include this story, and so we should read it very carefully, thinking about the details that Luke chooses to relate and the message he wishes us to hear. Jesus is on the way to Jerusalem, where he has told his disciples, quote, "The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and on the third day be raised." Unquote. And now here is the Sunday Gospel. Now Jesus was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath, and behold, there was a woman who had had a disabling spirit for 18 years. She was bent over and could not fully straighten herself. When Jesus saw her, he called her over and said to her, "Woman, you are freed from your disability." And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight, and she glorified God. But the ruler of the synagogue, indignant because Jesus had healed on the Sabbath, said to the people, "There are 6 days in which work ought to be done. Come on those days and be healed, and not on the Sabbath day." Then the Lord answered him, "You hypocrites, does not each of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his donkey from the manger and lead it away to water it? And ought not this woman, a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan bound for 18 years, be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath day?" As he said these things, all his adversaries were put to shame, and all the people rejoiced at the glorious things that were done by him. We are not accustomed to thinking of a bent back as a manifestation of a demonic spirit, and yet Luke says she has a disabling spirit, and Jesus says that this daughter of Abraham had been bound up by Satan for 18 years. So this is not primarily a physical healing, even though there is a dramatic improvement in her physical condition that all could see. Another thing to note, the initiative is totally on the part of Jesus. She does not ask for healing. He does not ask if she wants to be healed. There is no manifestation of faith, nor does Jesus say that her sins are forgiven. He sees her, he calls her over, tells her she is healed, touches her, and he releases her from bondage. She, on her part, glorifies God. A third observation. The ruler of the synagogue does not address Jesus. He admonishes the people. Jesus, in turn, admonishes the ruler and those who agree with him before the people, and the people rejoice. We see in this story a foreshadowing of the events about to unfold in Jerusalem, where Jesus is headed. His adversaries have given up admonishing him. They see Jesus' popularity as a threat to their influence over the people. And here they try to convince the people not to turn to him for healing on the Sabbath. In Jerusalem, they will take the final drastic step of engineering his crucifixion to preserve their power. And what comes of this? Jesus is crucified on Good Friday, and on Great and Holy Saturday, his body lies incorrupt in the tomb. The word for Saturday in most languages is Sabbath, and here we see the fulfillment of the Jewish Sabbath. While his body rests, his soul descends to Hades, where Jesus triumphs over Satan, destroying death by death and liberating Adam and Eve and all humanity from our ancient bondage to Satan. This is the deepest meaning of the work of Christ, and it is not primarily a matter of forgiveness of sins, although this is a consequence. nor is our faith the key to Jesus' saving work, although we must believe. It is not a matter of our taking action. It is a matter of the God who loves us first, taking action through the work of his Son to defeat Satan, who held the human race bound up in chains and subject to death. There is only one response that makes any sense for us and for the woman bound up by Satan, so that she could not even stand. It is gratitude and thanksgiving. We join this woman in standing straight to glorify God. On Sunday, after the Sabbath rest in the tomb, we celebrate the resurrection, a manifestation to his disciples that Christ has defeated Satan decisively and emerged victorious over sin and death. And so at the Divine Liturgy, the deacon says to us, "Let us stand aright, let us stand in awe, let us be attentive to offer the holy anaphora in peace." The priest greets us with a blessing, encourages us to lift up our hearts, and then he says, "Let us give thanks to the Lord." And we who have confessed our sins and professed our faith respond, "It is proper and just." Gratitude and thanksgiving, this is the proper and just response to the saving work of Christ. It is the foundation of the Christian life. So let us stand aright and give thanks.